Thank you, Connor, for leading the prayers today. Well, I'm just going to share my screen here. This is very weird, me giving the talk 2 weeks in a row. But my only defense is that I didn't ask to. So this is the same subject as I covered last week, but I have pretty well torn up most of what I did last week, and except for a little bit of the history, I left it in for those who might not have been here. I'm going to start with one of my favorite prayers that's always with me. This is translated by my teacher, Khenpo Gyurme Trinley Rinpoche, and Robert Clark, Tite Dorje, who's no longer with us either. Neither of them is with us anymore. May I hereby become completely free from all grasping to a self and from all desire and attachment for the things of this world. May the Bodhisattva's attitude arise in my heart, and may I thereby become a mighty protector of each and every living being. May I come to realize all forms and appearances I encounter in the world to be nothing but the play of deity, mantra, and primordial wisdom. And may I in this very life attain and manifest the perfect state of Samantabhadra. So here's the preamble here. Happy Easter. So I'm honored to give it on Easter, this talk, because, you know, I was never a Christian. I wasn't raised as a Christian. I went to Sunday school. I was baptized. We had a big Bible. I was the only one who ever read it. I went to Sunday school, and when we lived in Alabama during the Civil Rights Movement, I went to Sunday school, but I think that was just because my parents were afraid that we'd have crosses burned on our lawn if we didn't. They were hanging black men and civil rights workers from the bridges, so we went to church as a defense, I think. But nevertheless, you know, Easter was I always thought Easter was like really, really a nice day. I liked I liked that everybody seemed more contemplative and seemed more like quiet. And I don't know, I just always really liked that aspect of Easter. And plus, you know, only on Easter do you get to hear Handel's Messiah, which I didn't get to hear until I was older. But last night I watched a performance of it in Grace Cathedral and was very moved by it all. So anyway, happy Easter. And I had a dream a couple of nights ago that I was sentenced to a year in prison, in jail. Never knew why. But I didn't have to go for a few months. And I went to bed. In my dream, I went to bed. And I woke up, and in the morning, when I woke up in the dream, it was the day that I had to go to jail. And I thought, that must be what it's like when you die. You know, you had to die someday. Nobody ever made a deal with you about it. You just have to do it someday. But most of the time you forget that you're going to die. And then, you know, it must be one day you wake up and, yeah, today you're dying. So, and if you wait until the last, you know, in my dream, I started calling lawyers, but it was too late for anybody to help me. And that's what it would be like if we don't do anything now when we die. So we all know we're going to die, but not very many of us actually believe it. And I'm going to also take another departure here, and I'm going to read a little bit of a poem by one of my favorite poets, Rainer Maria Rilke. This is from the first Duino Elegy. It's hard being dead is my heading. No, that's not part of the poem. Of course, it's strange to no longer inhabit the world, to practice no more the habits just barely acquired, to give no meaning to roses and other particularly promising things in terms of human future. No more to be all that which one was in the care of hands forever anxious, and to discard even one's own proper name like a broken toy. You can call me Yeshe Sanglam or Tuchen Chödrön or Gyurme Trinley for that matter, but not Dirk anymore. Strange no longer to desire one's desires, strange to see all that was fixed, to be fluttering so loosely in space. And this being dead is difficult and filled with surrogates until one gradually begins to perceive a trace of eternity. But the living all make the error of drawing too sharp a distinction. Angels, they say, often do not know whether they are moving among the living or the dead. The never-ending torrent relentlessly tosses all epochs through both realms forever and drowns out their voices in both. That was translated by Leslie Gardner. I haven't translated this since 1977, and I threw away my translation, but I always have a hard time finding a translation I like. This one is serviceable in any case. So I think, this idea, and by the way, every angel, the angels that he's talking about are the primordial angels of Judeo-Christianity. They're not the little cherubs that were painted in the 17th century and 18th century. These are terrifying beings. Robert Thurman talks about that a little bit. And so for this talk, now that I've taken you down spurious paths, these are the texts in my own library that I consulted for this talk. Primarily, I took from the top three from the left, which is Tuchen Chödrön's How to Free Your Mind, which is about the 21 Tāras, and the Khenpo brothers, Tārā's Enlightened Activity, which also goes into all of the Tāras. And for the historical context, I kind of depended a little bit more on Rachel, I forgot her last name, Stevens. Rachel Stevens read Tārā because she says in her introduction that she was on her way to a retreat in Kathmandu and stopped in a bookstore because they told her she could bring one book with her into the retreat. So she went into the bookstore and she found the text, which is in the middle of the bottom row, Red Tārā, which is a commentary on the practice of Red Tārā by Chagdud Rinpoche, that's Chagdud Tulku's wife. And she took that into the retreat, and it got her so interested in Tārā that she wrote this book. It's called Red Tārā, but she also traced the history of Tārā in general, great deal in it. And so, according to Tuchen Chödrön, there are three basic ways we can talk about Tārā. We can talk about Tārā as a transcendent Buddha, which is the way I like to talk about her the most personally. We can talk about Tārā as a person who became a Buddha, and we can talk about Tārā as a historical practice lineage or a series of texts and practices and people that arose over time. So we'll start with the last one first. The first textual evidence we have is from about the 7th century, the 600s, possibly the 6th century, a little bit, but the earliest sure datings, certainly from the 7th century. And there's a certain amount of, overlap. The Hindus have goddesses and gods that are very similar in their iconography to, in their appearance to some of the Buddhist tantric deities, but it's not clear who came first, who influenced whom, or where the differences came from. So I'm not even gonna try to. There are a lot of people working hard to try to determine that, and I personally am not sure it's really very important. But one thing is probable is that this practice that we have an extant text for from the early 600s, was probably practiced orally without text. We don't have text that's older, but the practice is, I believe, is much older. And part of our problem with believing that is that we project our memory into writing. So we don't trust memory that's not written. However, I'm part of my thing is I read a lot of texts, and even something as early as the late 19th and early 20th century, the poems of, say, W.B. Yeats. It's you can't establish a text. You can't establish what's the real text. There are so many variations, and that was all printed, because one thing that a good memory practice over time does is keeps things straight, whereas typos are something. And the editorial people step in and make editorial changes. Anyway, that's my pitch for the oral tradition. There's evidence that Tārā practice arrived in Tibet with the establishing panditas. That's Shantarakshita, Vimala Mitra, Guru Rinpoche, and so forth. The Tara's basic ritual text was brought to Tibet in 1042 by Atisha, but that wasn't translated until 1361. We didn't have to wait 300 years for a translation from its arrival to us. Susan Landsman published her translation in 2020 into English. And just to give an idea of that 1361 translation of the root tantra, Longchen Rabjan Drimeodser, he died in 1364. So he died 3 years after that translation was made. And Tsongkhapa was born 4 years after that translation was made. So that was pretty early in the process of what our lineages go back to as their main sources. And the Tārā mantra that we're accumulating, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, or Swaha, it first appeared in the root tantra, the one that was translated in 1361. Tara's name is a causative in Sanskrit. Causative in Sanskrit is a verb that means something to, like, it causes something to happen. We don't have that kind of a mood in English verbs, but so a verb meaning to cross in the causative form would mean to cause to cross. And so that Tara's name is looked upon that way, as meaning to cause to cross over or to rescue. There's a bunch of other seminal texts. I'm glad to send you this slide if you want to see them. I'm not going to read this to you. But we have many different root texts, tantric texts that have to do with Tārā, and some of them are on 84,000 CO for free. Now, it's interesting, the praise to Tārā with 21 verses of homage, that the 21 Tāras, which is probably the most popular poem in Tibet, certainly for Tārā. It's in the Kanjur twice. It's in the Kanjur as part of, which is the words of the Buddha, the collected words of the Buddha. It's in the Kanjur inside of the text, The Origin of All Rights, tantric text. There's a transliteration into Tibetan. So even though it's in Tibetan characters, there's a Sanskrit version embedded in that text. And then there's another Sanskrit version I mean, a translation, there's a translation in the Conjure, which is an independent text in the Conjure. And there's controversy about whether that, which is the one that most of us are using most of the time, but there is a controversy about whether that is a translation from the transliteration that's embedded in the Origin of All Rights Tantra, or whether it's a translation from another source, or whether it's a translation from the original document that was encoded into the Origin of All Rights, but we don't know. So that's that's my little historical coverage of this aspect. Tara's a person who became a Buddha. I'm only going to really talk about one of them. There are at least three. I'll summarize the other two. She was born as in a distant universe, in an unimaginably distant past, as the Princess Yashé Dawa, and against her parents and her culture and all of the anything that anybody would have thought reasonable at the time. She was totally unreasonable and decided that she was going to become a dedicated Buddhist practitioner. Kind of reminds me of trying to do that now. And she vowed to show the way to liberation to millions of beings every day before eating breakfast, and then millions more before having lunch, and millions more before having before going to bed at night. I don't think we talk about an evening meal. And so she became Pakmadroma, the noble liberator. And she said, "Here there is no man, there is no woman, no self, no person, and no consciousness. Labeling male or female has no essence, but deceives the evil-minded world." She could enter right into our political fray. And nevertheless, because she believed, even though she saw that the designations male and female were just labels with no meaning, she saw that the female body was underrepresented, and vowed that she would always take birth only in female bodies and attain Buddhahood in female form. So to me, that's the main Tara story. But there are two others. One is that there are at least two others. One is that she was born from the father and mother union of wisdom and the compassion and wisdom in the heart of Avalokiteshvara, and then projected out into the world. And another story that she was born from a tear in Avalokiteshvara's eye while he was weeping that he couldn't save all of the beings right this instant. And she was manifested to help him. So those are two of the categories. And now to the, what I think is the main category, which is Tara as a celestial Buddha. Quoting from Tuchen Chödrön here 3 times, and I'm going to just read them because they're Tuchen Chödrön and not me. Tara is not a concrete, self-existent person with a personality, and for this reason, we train our minds to see her as an emanation of all the good qualities that we admire and want to cultivate. Another way to understand Tara is as a manifestation or embodiment of enlightened qualities. Anyone who has attained Buddhahood can appear in the form of any of the deities. There isn't just one green Tara, or 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, or one Manjushri, or one Vajrapani. These are simply appearances, emanation. And along that line, that's something, when I vow, when I read, I say, I will always only practice your sādhana. When I make a promise like that in the midst of a tantric initiation or in a sadhana practice, it used to bother me that I'm telling this one deity that I'm only going to practice them, and I thought there was maybe there's some kind of conflict, you know. I'm practicing Tārā. I said I was going to practice Avalokiteshvara. I'm practicing Avalokiteshvara, but I said I was going to practice Vajrakalaya. What's going on? I don't know. It seems like I hope they aren't getting mad at me for not following through, but that's not how it is. Each deity is a manifestation of the same enlightened qualities: love, compassion, joy, equanimity, generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, concentration, wisdom, and so forth, although each manifestation may emphasize a particular quality. So I think that's the thing, is that when we're looking at these different tantric deities, we're not looking at things that are different or, you know, in competition with each other in any way, that they are just different emphases of the totality, which we can only see a little part of at any given time. Like there's a parable of the blind men and the elephant, where a group of blind men were asked to describe an elephant, and each of them touched one part of the elephant and described the elephant according to the part that they touched. And I think that the ultimate truth is sort of like that for most of us anyway. Tara is an emanation of bliss and emptiness. Within the sphere of emptiness, the absence of inherent existence, blissful wisdom realizing emptiness appears in the form of Tara. By appearing in this physical form of Tara, the wisdom of bliss and emptiness of all Buddhas inspires us to cultivate constructive attitudes and action. And each of Tara's manifestations, whether you know, there are 21, there's also a tantra of the 108 names of Tara. So ultimately, there are infinite manifestations of Tara. And because I'm not really qualified to talk about any kind of ultimate thing, I'm going to move on to my own experience here a little bit. All three of my root lamas have been devoted to Tara. Chagdud Rinpoche, my first teacher, was mostly devoted to red Tara, and it was a red Tara that he received directly from the disciple of Apong Tertong, who was supposed to teach at Apong Tertong's Tulku. So it's a very short lineage to Apong Tertong, considered very powerful. And he taught that widely, and that's the first mantra that I ever accumulated 100,000 of, was the short Tara mantra, Om Tare Tam Soha, from that red Tara practice. And Khenpo Gyurme Trinley always believed that Tara protected him. When he left Tibet, he was 9 years old. He was with 1,000 people. Only 100 of them survived the trek to India with the Red Army on their tail. And he always felt that Tara is the one who saved him, who allowed him to survive that. And so he taught Dechen Lingpa's Green Tara offering mandala, which is a 50-page, quite an extensive text, pretty daunting for a beginner to practice back in the days. And then he later translated and taught Nyalape Madundal's Green Tara Terma, which is more almost at the opposite end of the extreme. It's a very brief and very high-level practice that Mindroling told him to translate. Now, in our case, I was going to, you know, last week I talked about my own experience, and I don't think I actually did a very clear job of it, but I tried. This week, I'm not going to talk so much about that. This week, I want to talk about my third Lama, which is our Lama, Lama Yeshe Jinpa Rinpoche. He put together a sadhana booklet that we practiced for quite a while at the temple. He, in the temple, we have the Tārā shrine with the Tārā Mādona. Now I'm going to show you. Oh, no, I can't do that. Sorry. I'm not going to show you. The tanka that's behind the sculpture was one that I commissioned for Gyurme Trinley Rinpoche, and he told me to keep it. He said, "Oh, you keep." So I kept it, and now that's part of the shrine. So I should tell you, if anybody of you are in the temple, and say about a 12-year-old boy walks into the temple, or a girl, he might manifest as a girl. You never know. But if some child walks into the temple and says that tanka is theirs, you should probably just give it to them. Because it wasn't really mine to give. And Lama Yeshe Jinpa, one step farther, not only did he commission that Tārā mandala sculpture, which is in the Tārā shrine in the back of the temple, or the front of the temple, I guess, actually. But he also found a text, practice text of the Tārā Mādona. Now, in my own case, whenever I practice or approach Tārā, no matter what I do having to do with Tārā, it seems there's always something coming up to stop me. There's always something, whether it's internal or external, somewhere, somehow, there's always some kind of an obstacle. Now, some people would say that that's proof that I shouldn't practice Tārā, but I think that maybe it's the other way around. I think that it means that there's so much power happening there that the obstacles occur. And Tārā is there to clear the obstacles, and the obstacles can't be cleared if they don't manifest. And one of the things that tantric practice does is it brings up all of that suppressed and repressed and forgotten garbage. And you have to deal with it. You just have to deal with it. Now I'm going to stop this share because I'm going to bring up Lama's text. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can just change tabs after all. Oh, what? Nope, can't do it that way. Sorry. I'm really not considered a beginner, but one thing that happened is, and I mean, with computers, with the Dharma, I'm still a beginner, but with computers, I'm not supposed to be. One thing that happened is I have a very hard time asking for help, and my keyboard started having a bunch of dead spaces, so I got a new keyboard, and I waited almost a year to change it because I realized that I wasn't qualified, because this particular computer, the entire laptop, the entire thing is built on the keyboard with a whole bunch of micro components that frankly, I sat there with the person who helped me do it, and I would not have been able to do it. So here is Tārā Mādona. This is Lama Jinpa's text. And I'm going to do a brief run through it. I hope people in the temple can see this, because I thought we had more copies of it than we do. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. That's Ultimate Mother, the open space of liberating awareness. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. And the Nurturing Mother. That's the Mādona. Mother of the Buddhas emerges from a lotus with a letter tongue, presenting a baby Buddha. She's smiling and full-bodied plump. Green like the grass and trees, bejeweled like a goddess, blue skirt like the sky, the baby Buddha is smiling wrapped in a blanket. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. The left leg is drawn up, signifying discipline, right leg extended, ready to help, signifying compassion. Her eyes look up and arms outstretched, holding the baby, signifying offering and connection. O noble and exalted Tārā, I bow to you. Homage to Tārā, swift and courageous. Mother who banishes fear with Tutare. With Ture, you meet all our needs and our wishes. With Swaha, great mother, we bow down before you. Homage to Tārā, so swift and courageous, your eyes flash like lightning, so quick and all-seeing, born from the tears of the Lord of Trilokya, at the heart of a beautiful lotus and blossom. Homage to Tārā, whose smile is as radiant as 100 million full autumnal moons, ablaze with the light of the stars in their thousands. You shine with the transcendent light of perfection. Homage to Tārā, our golden-skinned mother, adorning your hand as an azure blue lotus, kind, open-handed, hard-working, and patient, and one with the state of samadhi perfected. Homage to Tārā, whose victories are endless, the crown on the heads of the Tathagatas, praised by the masters of all the perfections. All bodhisattvas rely on your guidance. Homage to Tārā, our spellbinding mother, you create all of space with your Hung and Tutare. All beings you magnetize without exception and trample the seven worlds under your feet. Homage to Tārā, whom all the gods worship, Indra, Maru, Agni, Shiva, and Brahma, praised by the demons who harm and assail us, ghosts, spirits, zombies, Gandharvas, and Yakshas. Homage to Tārā, who crushes black magic with Trat and can destroy harmful forces. You dance right knee bent and the left leg extended, all magic consumed in a blazing inferno. Homage to Tārā, whose spine-shielding Ture vanquishes even the powerful Mara. Wrinkling her beautiful brow in fierce anger, she crushes all foes and destroys them completely. Homage to Tārā, the radiant lady, you form at your heart the three rare and supreme, Mother, whose radiance fills all directions with brilliant light that bedazzles all thinking. Homage to Tārā, whose sparkling tiara shines with the light of her limitless joy. Your laughter and Tutare topple all demons, subduing all worlds with exultant delight. Homage to Tārā, the mother who summons all the world's leaders with Hung and a frown. You free us from hardship, from need and misfortune, from homelessness, poverty, hunger, and thirst. Homage to Tārā, whose bright shining tiara is graced with a brilliant crescent new moon, sitting amidst your thick mane of black tresses as Lord Amitabha, irradiant with light. Homage to Tārā, encircled by fire, infernos of flame, like the end of all time. Truth's enemies and their great armies you vanquish and spin, right leg stretched with your left leg drawn in. Homage to Tārā, who strikes the earth's surface. You pound with your palms and you stamp with your feet. With Hung and a glowering scowl, all your anger shatters the underworld's lair, all seven. Homage to Tārā, the one who is blissful, your liberation, your province is peace. With Om and with Swaha, so perfectly rendered, you lay waste to all the worst evils and sufferings. Homage to Tārā, immersed in deep rapture, you shatter the bodies of all of your foes. Disclaiming your 10 letters in Hung of wisdom, you liberate every suffering being. Homage to Tārā, the bold dancing lady, with Ture you stomp and all obstacles perish. With Hung, Mount Meru, Mandara, and Vindhya, and the 3 worlds of existence to tremble. Homage to Tārā, who holds in her white hand a moon, deer-marked moon, like a heavenly lake. Expunging all traces of toxins and venom, you purge all the poisons. With Tārā, Tārā, play. Homage to Tārā, who all the gods count on, their kings and their gods, and Kimnara's all trust. Your armor of joy and contentment is splendid. It clears away nightmares and soothes away strife. Homage to Tārā, whose lustrous eyes sparkle and shine with the light of the sun and full moon. Uttering Hara, Hara, and Tutare, you pacify all the most vicious pandemics. Homage to Tārā, who with three tatas commands all the power she needs to bring peace. Supreme Ture, you are the one who annihilates the hordes of Gahas, Vitalas, and the Yakshas. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. Liberating Mother. Tārā, the expression of the union of appearance and emptiness, the spontaneous display of complete interdependence and co-arising, the bliss-filled wisdom of primordial awareness, Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. We emerge as the expression of empty, open, spacious interdependence, and instantly and spontaneously we appear as both Tārā and baby Buddha. Distinct yet interdependent, we are the baby Buddha, open, innocent, trusting, in need of support, nurturing, and education. She holds us tenderly, so close, resting in her warm embrace, soft eyes closed, then slowly open, glistening like moonlight on water. Shakyamuni Buddha Mantra. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Ye Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Ye Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Ye Swaha. All appearances dissolves into the Dharmakaya, rest in open awareness. Ordinary Tārā. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. We appear instantly and spontaneously as the expression of interdependent co-emergence, in ordinary form and clothes, maintaining awareness of the union of the absolute and relative, going about our lives, washing dishes, sweeping the floor, and caring for others. This text was discovered in the mind stream of the Sacramento yogi Yeshe Jinpa on the birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the 27th day of the 5th month of the Iron Ox year, 2148, which is July 6, 2021. Mangalam. Oh, I'm sorry, I had extra things in there. Anyway, I would love to hear any comments or, your experience with Tārā. Anything that you have to say, I would love to hear it. Because I'm going to stop talking now.
We've got a couple here in the temple, Dirk.
I'm going to let you decide.
Thanks, Dirk. That was beautiful. So, thanks. Oh, so I was really only introduced to Tārā more recently. I was familiar with her name, but I wasn't really very close to what that might mean. And so I've been exploring this last year, what that might mean. And I had an experience not too long ago where I was contemplating Tārā, and I started doing a practice where I visualize my mother, and I remember her kindnesses to me. I'm lucky I had a really great mom. And then I overlaid it over Tārā, and all of a sudden Tārā became alive for me by experiencing that loving compassion and that fierce protection that I felt from my mother. So that really brought it to light for me. And I hear that in this homage to Tārā that Lama Jinpa put together in 1921, I guess it said. So that's my story.
Thanks. Yeah, I was lucky too. I had a mother with whom I had a very good relationship. And one thing that though I realized at one of the retreats at Lotus View Ranch was suddenly it had dawned on me how fierce my mother's love actually was, that she was like a mountain lion. Anyway, but I was her cub, so it was okay. Although, she could be fierce with me too. And yeah, I also I can extend that into my tantric practice pretty easy. Tārā and with Troma Nagmo and others. Thank you for your comment.
Is there anyone online? I don't see anyone with their hands up, but
I thought you said you had 2 in the temple, Connor.
well, I thought I did, but
Oh.
Thank you for the talk, Dirk. It's actually the research you put into some of these things and the knowledge you bring in the background you have is wonderful for us. So really appreciate you taking the time and the effort to do this again. And why are you wearing a tie?
Yeah, I just thought it was good to do.
Yep.
But I was surprised. I actually like to wear dress shirts and ties. But I was surprised. I hadn't worn this shirt in a while. I can't button the neck anymore. And I don't know if it's because the shirt shrank or my neck got fat, but I suspect the latter. So faux Windsor wasn't really the right knot. Should have used just one of the, the American half knot thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Susan.
Hey, Dirk. Yeah, I echoing what Connor just said. Thank you for the background. I haven't looked at the Tuchen Chödrön text in a number of years. Maybe I'll go back and revisit that. It is quite a text. And I was curious about the sādhana from Lama Jinpa Rinpoche that you just read. I have not seen that before. Do we have that?
Well, that's a good question. I put it together in 2021.
Ah.
And Patty told me there were copies in the temple and it was practiced in the temples. So I sort of thought it was common knowledge. But I don't know. As you know, I haven't been there.
Right.
So I don't know what actually goes on in the ground anymore. And
yeah, it could well be. I just have never seen it before. So thank you for sharing that.
well, and I texted Jen before the talk to ask her if she would put the booklets out for people in the temple, and she said she could only find one, so I'm not sure what's going on with that.
No, there are copies. We have a fair number of copies here.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
All right.
Good. So there you go. Thanks, Susan. Ellen?
Yeah, thanks. It's kind of already been said now, but I really wanted to thank you for your talk too, and also apologize because when I asked you to do last week's talk, I had no knowledge that you were also going to do this week's talk. So next time I do that, ask you to do 2 in a row. Just scold me,
I didn't
please.
know I was going to do this week's talk until a few days ago. Patty said, well, I know you talked on Sunday, but would you do it again? Like, oh, okay.
Well, that's just the testament of how much we like your talk. But what I like, of course, all the academic and scholarly knowledge you put in, but also the way you started it out and then intertwined your own personal experience. It's just makes it so rich and alive. This is really good for me because I don't practice Tārā too much anymore, but it was the first mantra I learned. I remember because my son Mason was very young, and we started putting lettering on big poster boards so he could learn to read. He was probably 2 or 3. And one of those boards said Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha, and we would practice it together. So that was pretty cool. He was probably as good at it as I was. But then something happened, when I did some of the highest yoga tantra initiations, I sort of felt like I moved on. But what I've been discovering the last month or so with all the practice that the headlines were about Tārā is that it's not a lower tantra. It's incredibly powerful. So I appreciate your talk today too for making that again really clear to me.
Well, the lower tantras are profound.
Yeah, they are. It's not like
there are lower tantras, but the lower tantras are profound.
Yeah, they are, and it's my ignorance that has me not see it that way. So thank you.
Well, I had the same. My experience was, oh well, now I've taken highest yoga tantra initiation. Should I actually practice this Kriya yoga tantra that I got? That it's so weird. I cannot remember the Sanskrit name of the text. Anytime I think of it, I went through and redacted. I've done all kinds of things with it, and I can never remember the name of the text. But the
Obscurations,
green
as you
Tārā,
said.
yeah, the green Tārā text that we've been practicing was one that I received the initiation for. But very shortly after it, I got the Shitro initiation from, and I was like, okay, so this is better. This is it, just like you. So I fully understand that. But there's not really. It's just like if you just sit down and if you're doing shamatha, it's not going backwards either.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. What an amazing talk. And the way you spoke, the rhythm was so powerful, Dirk. Like I could close my eyes and I felt like I was writing each phrase. Thank you.
Well, it's good to know that practicing reading poetry all my life has helped a little bit.
I love it. Thank you. Keep doing that. I was thinking about how Tārā has shown up in my life, and it's usually these moments where I feel compelled and courageous and really sure that I have to do something that I wouldn't have done before, like leaving my girls' dad. It was a decision that was spontaneous and like it has to happen right now. Or even recently that I had to come up with, like I had to find some courage to stand up to a colleague for myself and push through with an idea that I had, even though she was saying no, but I felt like this is what needs to happen for our department, for the direction of our program, for our students. And after like everyone came around was like, yeah, this is a really good idea, but like that courage that I needed to take swift action, knowing that something was the right thing for the greater good, for myself, for others. I feel like those are kind of Tārā wins, maybe. Yeah, those are things that I was reflecting on.
In those circumstances, did you rely specifically on Tārā, or are you just thinking of that as a connection?
The past ones, I'm thinking of connection. But more recently, I felt definitely a Tārā practice. Yeah. Yeah. Om Tare Tare Ture Swaha.
Whereas me, what I have is, last night we were doing Kadiravani Tārā. What do you know? I remember the name. And for lunar practice, and all day I started having trouble with my internet connection, and I asked Dan to lead it instead because I wasn't sure I'd be able to. So that's my experience with I have almost the opposite experience, that the obstacles just fly in. Hello, we're here to block you. Oh no, this is too good for you. You can't have this.
So kind of that perseverance or fortitude, like still to keep going, not give up.
That's right.
Is that what I hear? Yeah.
That's right. Don't give up. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Hi, Dirk. It's Jen. Two things. I think I'm also experiencing the obstacles.
I'm sorry. I'm having.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can't really hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Better. Yeah.
I think I also am experiencing obstacles. It's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, started practicing this and then had a whole bunch of financial stuff go sideways. But really what I wanted to say is thank you very much for your comment about practice and not competing in the different practices, and that how one can, I don't know, when you do one, you do them all in a way. So that was important for me to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, I took an empowerment from His Holiness Pema Norbu Rinpoche, Pina Rinpoche, who was, at the time, he was the Nyingma is not like the Gelugpa. They don't really have a head of the lineage of the school. So they in exile, they've had some. He was the one that was unanimously elected to lead the Nyingma at the time by the Nyingma lamas. And he gave us a Yawa Jatso, which is the non-true lineages come from a Tertan named Mingyur Dorje, and almost all of the deities in the Mingyur Dorje lineages are lotus families, so that they're red deities. And so one of his discoveries was a red Avalokiteshvara, a Chenrezig, and this was actually bestowed on us, saying that when you practice this, you're fulfilling all of your samaya with anything that you have ever been given empowerment for. And what you're saying, over time, I started to realize that was probably always true of all of the practices. If they're done with full sincerity, there's not really this idea. I mean, there is a lineage idea. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, and you can talk to Lama Jinpa about it instead of me. But my feeling is that if you're, whatever you're practicing with full sincerity and to the best of your ability, that you're fulfilling all of your practice commitments by doing that. Anyway, that's how I feel. I'm sure there are people who disagree with me, but that's really how I feel about it. And there's also another thing. I had a green Tārā picture, and it had a little stain on it, so it looked like she had a tear coming down her eye. And my friend who introduced me to the red Tārā practice and ultimately introduced me to Chagdud Rinpoche, he said, "What's this? What's this picture of a crying Tārā? Our saints don't cry. Our saints are happy." So, I'm gonna, for the people in the temple, I wish somebody else, would somebody read Dan's comment for me? I don't want to read that. Or Dan, would you just say it?
Sure, I'll speak up for a change. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for, you introduced me to Tārā 25 years ago. Khenpo introduced the practice to me, but then he left like right away to India for like 9 months, and that was like one of my first encounters with Buddhism at all. And you took me under your wing and explained. I had probably a billion questions about the whole thing, because it was kind of just the concept of the deities themselves was a totally foreign concept to me. And but that practice stuck with me, until this day, and continues to be a huge part of my practice. And as you know, I was bold enough to name my daughter Tārā. So Still not sure if you're supposed to do that kind of thing or not, like without a Lama
Maybe
doing
not, but she deserves the name.
it. I did it anyway.
His daughter is the sweetest person.
Thank you. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you because I really don't know how to thank you, because that practice and green Tara in particularly changed my entire life. I mean, took so many obstacles, helped me survive things that I don't think I would have survived without her, and by extension you. So it's yeah, I lack the words to thank you, but.
And you're talking about Nyala green Tara, right?
Yes, I did we had the Nyala Pema Dundul Tara. That practice was really profound for me.
Yeah, and it's really you were thrown into the deep end with that practice too, because
yeah, for sure.
it's like a I
So-
showed it to Lama Jinpa one day and I said, I'd like to practice this, but it's kind of high practice for me. And he's like, maybe.
I maybe only got a small percentage of it, but it's so powerful that even just
it's
doing
beautiful.
small- yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure, because with Khenpo I had to do the two different ones, and I know that over time you and I did Nyala together, but I wasn't sure if you started with Nyala Tara or not.
I did the other one too with the 21 Taras, and
Yeah.
that one was also really profound. That the recitation of the 21 Taras is where I started to feel her energetic aspects, the power of her, not just being kind of like we talked about last week, not just the peaceful aspects of her, which yeah, that's another topic, but her energy, her ability to just stomp out obstacles, and the fierceness of her. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, and in that one we did the 21 Taras 6 times every time we do the sadhana.
Yeah. I did that one.
Quite the extensive sadhana.
Did that one every day for quite a while, and that really stuck with me. Yep. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm about to cry now. So.
That's why I tried to type it first.
Anybody else? Oh, Jack.
Hi, Dirk. Yeah, you also introduced me to green Tara. It was maybe a month or two after I started coming to the temple. And I was just doing the beginner meditation, but I decided to kind of branch out and go into the temple. And we sat and did the green Tara sadhana that Lama Jinpa put together. And we sat in front of the Tara shrine. And I remember thinking, like, as we were reading it, I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I have no idea what this is. But your kindness and your dedication and energy and really inspired me and allowed me to stay there. So thank you.
I remember doing that with you.
Yeah, that was a nice day.
It was. I do miss the Tara. It's nice to be able to sit by the Tara shrine and practice Tara.
I don't think we have any other comments here in the compo.
Okay.
Nothing
And I should also tell you, if you want to go to another Tara shrine that's really nice and a beautiful place to go anyway, go to Rigdzin Ling. It's Chagdud Rinpoche's practice center. They have a temple there, but around the back there's this little Tara shrine with a whole bunch of like rocks with inscribed mantras carved into them, and painted figures. It's really quite charming. Anyway, sorry. The Tara shrine in the temple made me think of that. I haven't been there for a long time either. So I will shut up now. Thank you.
Thanks, Dirk. Let's go ahead and do dedication before we have any announcements, all right? Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain a state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that is not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezi Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish. May the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all migrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losang, magical display of the deep awareness of all the merciful giver of a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate migrators. Please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of objectless compassion. Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom. Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Maras. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the snowy land sages. Losandrapa, I make requests at your holy feet. A couple announcements. Please help support us. There's donation boxes in pretty much every room of this building. We really appreciate that. And I am collecting change as donations, and we've collected almost $60, so almost an entire other membership person to help take some of the burden off of that. So if you got pocket change, put it in there. I get my sense from that because usually when I'm sort of rolling it before I take it to the bank, I'm watching Dalai Lama videos. So I really appreciate it. It gives me that sort of time to chill out and listen to Dalai Lama. But it also helps the temple immensely, more than you would think. You know, just the change in your pocket or your purse actually adds up a lot when we combine all of us together with that. There's a lot of things coming up. So next month, middle of the month, Kuṇḍö Rinpoche is going to come. Hopefully we'll have some great wangs or jenangs with that as well. Look out for the official announcement. What else? I think there's a garden party coming up. Hopefully cleaning is going to happen eventually. I don't know when that party is. Do you have a cleaning party? Saturday, May 3rd at 3:30, cleaning party. Come and clean. It'll be wonderful. Oh, pizza. Oh, okay. So you got to clean up the pizza after you eat it, but that's okay. Yeah. So look for some sponsorship things coming up in the future. There's some things that probably we should do, some maintenance items. And we just had some major maintenance items. So we've got some great sponsors with that. And I think that's it. Anyone have anything else to say? Susan or Ellen? I will take that as a no.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to honor. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Susan. Yeah. So
Actually, Connor, could I say one thing? I would really appreciate it if people would come to the lunar observance practices. And right now we're doing the Tārā practice for it. And we could keep doing that. But I know it's hard because it's hard to remember when it's going to be. The next one will be Sunday, a week from today. But at 6 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock. So I'd love to see you there. It's always nice when people practice with us.
all right. Yeah, and that's online only.
Unfortunately, yes, that is online because I've not been able to find anybody willing to make the commitment to the temple.
All right. So if you're interested in that, talk to Dirk and see if we can get someone in the temple as well. But I think the online actually is good because then we get you, Dirk. So, you know, if it's in temple only, we wouldn't have you.
Well, if you do it in the temple, I will commit to joining the practice.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see if we can make that a goal, directed from Dirk. Thanks, Dirk. Wonderful talk as always. And I think we all really miss you. So when are you coming out again?
I don't know, but I miss you too. And I spent all my money on a trip to Italy for a Sanskrit conference in August. So it's going to be a while.
All right. Well, hopefully sooner than later. So I hope that conference sounds amazing, by the way, because you've told me a bit about it. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone. And we'll see you hopefully at the next program you come to, or next Sunday evening. All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Dirk.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Omo araya pazayana indi Om araya pazana indi Omo